From the rolling hills of England, to the sand-swept pyramids of Egypt, to the rivers of Italy, to a muck of a Florida prison, the Joestar bloodline has spanned time and space in manga and anime for over 30 years. Now it is up to Rosen Thorne, there goes Zepelli, to take his compatriots, Smarty, Hot Cocoa Rock.
Hi, I'm coping with the knowledge that you don't need a body to speak or to, live. You just need a head.
Nellie Belle.
What? No head? Fuck!
And LAF.
With enough time and energy, even you could become a master of breathing real good.
Through this series of bizarre adventures on the RoTho JoJo ShowShow.
So, I had to move some stuff around for this week because I actually booked everything for this week. I booked the One Piece podcast, I booked this podcast, I booked the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series, and I booked Randomay. But we had to move Randomay for different reasons, so instead on Sunday we're doing basically at the end of the month we try to do like a special thing. We're switching off between doing movies and doing something called the Rolls of Wretchedness, where we're watching 3 episodes of a terrible anime. Eli has been taking notes for our first Rolls of Wretchedness episode on Assassin's Pride, episodes 1 through 3. This thing's bad! The main character is an assassin, half-vampire wizard samurai named Kufa Vampire.
Oh my god, is this just like a preteens fanfic made into an anime?
I mean, considering the main character's in love with a 13-year-old, yes. And constantly calls her Milady, and in broken English, my little lady. I have to watch 3 episodes of this for Sunday.
Yeah, this has shades of Face the Strange or My Immortal, one of those.
Oh, don't worry, it's a genre now. So aside from that, how have we been since the last episode?
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for me. I had to go to the ER
last
Friday.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was an idiot and I cut myself while I was slicing some avocados.
Okay. We need to go 1 week without some people on this podcast injuring themselves.
Yeah, because last time it was me who got injured. Now it's your turn.
I'm gonna say, when I resume wrestling training, that won't count.
It's only a matter of time until I'm gonna tweet something out like right before the next episode, hey, I'm not gonna get injured, like a plane engine will fall on my house.
Or you'll get hit with an anvil like Doobie did.
Oh,
we'll get to that. Just same thing as always with the strike. It's going on.
yeah, I saw the Cartoon Network and them are joining in on the strike too now, aren't they?
No, they formed a union, which is good for them.
Okay. I know that they had like a union thing going on too.
Also, they moved studios.
Yeah, they went away from the Hanna-Barbera studio.
Did you see what one of the studios did to Universal Boulevard?
No.
They maimed all of the trees on it in order to get rid
Oh,
of
I did see this. Yeah, they got in huge trouble. That was Universal specifically.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and they've resorted to letting people get hit with cars.
And they have also enacted tree law, like the city has enacted tree law against them. So things are getting very interesting.
Yep. I did see Yuri Lowenthal voice his support from the Spider-Man panel. And it's like, that's the Simone I know.
Oh, yeah.
I have a note relating to that later on. Do we want to get into it, or do we have anything else?
I'm ready to get into it if everyone else is.
I'm ready.
All right. And let's talk about Episode 7, Sorrowful Successor. Oh, that's what I called Rise of Skywalker.
Nice.
Oh, right, I almost forgot. The JoJo fun fact of the day. The original title of Phantom Blood was Jonathan Joestar, His Youth. Yeah, I get why they changed it.
Yeah, I think they went with a better choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also couldn't verify this, so I didn't include it. But I read in a CBR article, so not at all reliable, that apparently the thing that we're getting to in Episode 9 was inspired by Araki's grandfather's death. Again, no source there, so take it what you will, but if that is true, it's interesting. We open in the skies above Tibet in 1863. Pictured how difficult wrestling training feels when you're a guy my size. And now that he's actually got some proper screen time, let's talk voices for Master Tonpetti here. In Japanese, he's played by Tamio Oki, who is the Magic Mirror in Snow White, Oigawa in Ashita no Joe, Dr. Niseru in the original Kashurn, Rufus in The Rescuers, Nicodemus in The Secret of Nim, the Suicidal Air Conditioner in The Brave Little Toaster, Captain Tatsumi Toshiro in Gunbuster, Wart in Record of Lodos War, King Aston in The Vision of Escaflowne, Paopuzi in Cowboy Bebop, Professor Archimedes Q. Porter in Tarzan, Kane in Gao Gaigar, Ken Go in Eureka 7, Monty in Beverly Hills Chihuahua, Charles Muntz in Up, and the Stan Lee cameo in Big Hero 6, and a bunch more before his death in 2017.
Prolific.
Yep. In English, it's Michael McConaughey, who was the narrator in a bunch of stuff, including OG Dragon Ball, the Lich King in World of Warcraft, that was the one for you, Lee.
Oh, okay.
Captain fucking Harlock, Rolf Emerson in Robotech, Cross Country in G.I. Joe, Shin in Fist of the North Star, Tatsu in the Ninja Turtles movies, the live-action ones, weirdly enough, the titular Vampire Hunter D, Ringo Richards in Technoman, Woodstock in the Ace Ventura CD-ROM game that apparently exists,
Oh my god, I have to find that now.
Hisame in Naruto, Baragon in Bleach, Babo in Mar, Magi in Gurren Lagann, Charles Z. Britannia in Code Geass, Seth in Street Fighter, Kano in Mortal Kombat, Astaroth in Soul Calibur, Tetsuzine in Redline, Zenji in Hunter x Hunter, and a lot I had to leave off for time. Dude's had an amazing career. Anyone here seen Kaiji? Because the shot of Zepelli and Tonpetti standing on those ropes like 20 stories above the air makes me think of Kaiji. For reasons.
All I could think of was how Zepelli was looking like Simon Belmont.
Yeah, I could say. I mean, this part 1 is very influential to Castlevania.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that really adds up.
Like, the comparisons have been many, and they're all accurate.
Well, I mean, I was going to bring up Dracula's Castle later, but...
Oh, yeah, especially. Tonpetti acting like an RPG character when they're like, are you sure you want to fight this optional boss? Zepelli is indeed ready to take on Tarkus, the Kent C. Koopa of zombies. I was replaying Paper Mario this week. So yeah, looks like Zepelli's walking into his destined death, and it points to him. He ain't afraid.
I was going to say, Zepelli, with everything that he's doing, and I'm guessing you're about to get to that point, I think I might be a little bit off. I can't remember.
I was just about to say, as we all know, Speedwagon, even Speedwagon is afraid. I had to get one last reference to that in.
Hey guys, remember me? I'm still here.
that poor Speedwagon. You know they cut him out of the movie?
Aww.
Right?
Sad.
No wonder that movie never saw the light of day.
Yeah, but I was going to say Zepelli would get the gold in the Olympics for all the ways he was avoiding all that shit.
Yeah, he's very acrobatic. Speaking of, like, he hits a tornado, like a fucking wrestling dive. Tarkus is remarkably fine with fighting against two dudes at once, though he has no honor to begin with. But yeah, unfortunately, Tarkus has a counterattack to that tornado. Complete bifurcation via chain. That'd do it.
I thought he would die by fire, honestly, not by that.
Can we talk about how Hell Heaven Snake Kill is an amazing move name?
So, I actually had a question about this.
Yeah.
When did it become tradition for characters in anime to shout out the names of attack they're using? Is that a holdover from manga?
I believe so, yes. I know that's why, and we talked about this last time, that's why characters have a lot of exposition, because, you know, readers need to fill in the panels.
Okay.
But I actually don't know that. I'll look that up later.
I've always thought about that. It kind of makes sense that it's a holdover from, reading it and visualizing it rather than being able to see it.
And also probably from, like, games like Castlevania and such, where they had, like, move names, especially with RPGs.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah. Apparently, I just looked it up. In this, again, this is Quora, so take a grain of salt. In the 70s, it was a common anime strategy to have the hero shout the special attack's name so that the children watching the show would be able to join him and have more fun. This idea worked really well and soon turned into a tradition. So, basically, it was the equivalent of a 90s preschool show interacting with the audience. But it fucking works. Like, I love it when characters do that. And we're watching One Piece right now, and I'm loving it every time Luffy does that. It's so good.
Okay, you've mentioned 90s shows doing that, and poses and everything. That just made me think of Steve from Blue's Clues somehow being a JoJo stand user.
I'm sure that with Blue as the stand.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's fan art of that. If there is, then please code it in right now. Good job covering Poco's eyes, Speedwagon. Kid's been through enough today. And Tarkus is like, Lord Dio, they're both dead. Tarkus, Dio is fucked off to his castle by now. Still alive with a broken neck, are you? Y'all, get used to the fact that JoJo characters are bafflingly resilient. For example, Zepelli's alive. Have you ever seen Walk Hard? I'm just thinking of the scene where, as kids, Dewey and his brother are playing, and Dewey accidentally cuts him in half with a machete. I'm cut in half pretty bad here. Yeah, in fairness, Haman heals injuries and makes people resilient, so...
This is just a trope that I've never been a fan of, though. Like, in general, doesn't matter from anime or Western comics or whatever. Just I hate that it feels irreverent when you do this to a character. And I know they're trying to be reverential and be honoring to the character and give them a noble death, but death should mean death.
Here's the thing. This is a rarity for JoJo. Like, Part 2 Armored especially, deaths are often swift and unexpected. Or at the very least, the characters don't get to have the death monologue until they're already fucking dead.
I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of those moments in this stretch of 3 episodes. But...
Yeah, like Araki has said a lot of this has changed in his writing style, so it's very much this part only.
Fair enough.
Like, I can think of a big example in Part 2 that we'll get to. For example, Zepelli's alive despite being cut in half real bad here, and he gives the last of his Hamon to JoJo to heal him and supercharge him. And all I'm thinking, because my brain is broken, is, C-Mode! Take it! Y'all thought my goal in this podcast was to get you to watch JoJo, but my secret second goal was to get you to watch stuff like Gurren Lagann and Mob Psycho, so you get like 90% of my jokes.
See, I think someone should have taught that move to Christopher Reeve.
Oh!
Oh, what? 19 years is too soon?
No! It's not! I just wasn't expecting it.
If the Flash is any indication...
I was gonna bring that up, yeah!
Of what is and isn't too soon.
Eli in the chat, you thought my goal was JoJo, but it was I, Gurren Lagann! The Hamon...
I got...
Good.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I was going to say, as Zepelli, he was just basically telling JoJo, pull himself together. How can he pull himself together when you can't even pull yourself together?
I have jokes about it later, but yeah, the Hamon burst ripped JoJo's shirt off. Shocked it took this long for that to happen.
Yeah, with much muscular men, I'm surprised that the shirt busting off hadn't happened yet.
You know what? I have a question. What exactly is Baron Zepelli a baron of?
Yeah, you do get land whenever you're a baron.
Yeah, his baron could be in Italy.
True! And believe me, we'll be going to Italy in points. Because Araki loves him some Italy.
He was hiding his oil reserves the whole time he's an oil baron.
I'm just thinking of the Muppet movie, Evil Oil Baron. There are no bad Muppet movies, just mediocre ones.
You know, I actually found out my husband's younger cousin, she does not like any Muppet movie.
That's a shame.
She doesn't like the Muppets.
That's a shame.
That's suspicious.
She's only like 14. I'm sure that she will change over time on that.
Oh, yeah. I'm just looking at the chat now. He's Baron of the Ripple. I buy it.
You know, sure.
Why not?
There's been more difficult things to accept than that.
What is his full name? I'm not sure. Oh, it's Will Antonio Zepelli. I forgot. Where was I?
He gave the Hamon.
Here we go, yeah. JoJo's just like, Tarkus, do you mind? We're trying to have a moment! You're being very rude! Jonathan stomps the shit out of Tarkus, and now they can let Zepelli rest in peace. Oh, come on! Like, this is the most egregious it ever is, I swear.
I don't care about breathing. You can't do that without blood pumping to your lungs. You can't do that when half your blood is literally outside your body.
I was gonna say, you can't do that when your lungs are like halfway
over there,
out the hole in the bottom of your torso.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, Bugs Bunny had a less melodramatic death monologue in What's Opera, Doc? You think Zepelli's bowels will still evacuate when he dies?
What?
We'll never know, because Zepelli's dead for real this time, and JoJo and crew are on their revenge path now.
And now JoJo has lost 2 father figures, but only 1 good one.
Right? Nellie, you had a bit about Thackeray here.
Oh, yes. Now my master's degree can finally come in handy.
Now!
So, the quote that we saw was from William Thackeray. He's the author of His most famous novels are The Luck of Barry Lyndon from 1844 and Vanity Fair in 1848. So this specific quote that they're using in the show, in JoJo, is from The History of Pendennis, which was released in monthly installments from between 1848 and 1850. Funnily enough, this book also has a much more famous quote in it: "Love makes fools of us all."
Oh!
Yeah, Thackeray has a lot of those little witticisms that seem to be sprinkled throughout our common parlance.
Okay.
This is why I went to grad school, to make these connections between 19th century British authors and anime.
I can't fit it on the soundboard, but I can have Zen put it in later. Just the quote from Talker from Danganronpa. Huh, interesting. I learned one new fact today. Yeah, so now that Zepelli is given a Viking burial on land, probably time to get Poco back to his family. Or not. Let's go to Dio's place. I'll admit, this episode is kind of the weakest of part one. Just because of Zepelli milking his death for all it's worth. And also because it's very scattershot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems very unfocused.
Yeah.
It felt like it got resolved in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes that happens with manga. You kind of got to squeeze a little bit of the next one in to make it episode time. I think we all see where this is going, though.
This fucking show.
Whatever could you mean, Lee?
Oh, just the line that Dio gives. Just from that one fucking quote, you realize, oh god, something bad's about to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, for those who aren't watching along with us, we got to Dio's castle, and Dio is sitting on his throne, and there's a woman holding a baby. And Dio's like, you want to make a deal with me? If you willingly give yourself to me, none of my zombies will harm the baby, or me. And she's like, yeah, I want to do that. And then she turns into a zombie and harms the baby. We all saw it coming. It's some King Solomon bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a fucking baby.
I was half expecting him to go, sorry. Like,
whoopsie, I lied.
I mean, she just wanted her baby back ribs.
Oh!
Again, one of the podcast hosts is a father here.
I understand that.
That's fair. And when he listens to this, it'll be very funny.
Hey, it's Jay here. I'm actually recording this the day before Father's Day. I am not fucking amused. Anyway, have a good rest of the podcast, y'all.
Yeah, Eli. As soon as you say there's a woman holding a baby, you know it's coming. And yeah, but he didn't lie. It was true from a certain point of view. True. We're making a lot of Star Wars jokes tonight. Now can we get Poco home?
You know, something's different about JoJo after he watches Mentor get brutally severed in half. I wonder what it could be.
Well, here comes a random zombie event. Not Mr. Adams. He's had so much more beer to make.
I mean, I guess he was secretly Gene Simmons all along, though. Because, I mean, that tongue would be long.
The ancestor of Genocide Jill.
My mouth literally went agape when he became a fucking zombie lickiton.
He's the licker from Resident Evil. Although he can actually see.
he's the, what was it, who were the zombies from Left 4 Dead? Were like the smokers?
Oh yeah,
like
the smokers,
long
yeah.
tongue?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Resident Evil, apparently My Friendly Neighborhood is not in fact your typical mascot horror game. It's a BioShock and Resident Evil tribute. I've heard it's amazing. Like, my buddy Carl gave it like a 10 out of 10. I might even check it out.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, oh shit, more dudes! This is Dyer, and he's here to fight. You fool! You fell for it! And Jonathan with the Shibata headbutt. What do we think of Dyer here?
It's an interesting design. Like, I like the weird appendages coming out of his back.
If he was more colorful, I would have done a what bar for Dyer, but as it stands, he's just a weird design.
Yeah.
Dyer's the one who did like the leg thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was honestly very glad when they revealed that he was actually just like a friend, because I was like, we have too many thresholds.
Yeah, it's a lot. But no, we have Dyer and we have Straits.
That I saw.
Yep. Everyone here got it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, Coco's gone. I'm going to talk about voices. Dyer's played by Paul St. Peter. who was Jack the Ripper, so we already talked about him in the last episode. In Japanese, he's played by someone with the name Takatora, who was Gats in One Piece, Nakim Greendina in Bleach, Haoharo in Final Fantasy XII, Heat Blast, Diamond Head, Ripjaws, and Upchuck in Ben 10, Rutger Godwin in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, Goki aka Akuma in Street Fighter, Absorbing Man in Ultimate Spider-Man, Duncan the Donut Cop in Wreck-It Ralph, Masahiro Okura in Shirobako, and Terry the Always Drunk Cop in Mashal. Hell of a way to greet people, Dyer. Like, do you not just walk up to people and randomly dropkick them?
Do you not?
Not right now.
Once you get back to practice, though.
There you go. His compatriot Straizo is played by Dave Mallow, who was the titular character in The Return of Dog Tanyan, Hart, the big old fat guy in Fist of the North Star, Oolong in Dragon Ball, Angemon in Digimon, Koichi Igarashi in GTO, Cicada in Last Exile, Yoshio Hinamura in Paranoia Agent, Kaien Shiba in Bleach, the motherfucking Anti-Spiral in Gurren Lagann, Akuma in Street Fighter, weird that Dyer in Japanese played Akuma, Peter Capek in Monster, and Goto in Hunter x Hunter before retiring in 2017. In Japanese, Straizo is played by Nobuo Tobita, who was Iceman in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Camille Bidan in Gundam, Milhouse, Professor Frink, Dr. Nick Riviera, Jimbo, and Scratchy in The Simpsons.
I was not expecting that.
To which I thought, hi everybody, hi Straizo.
Everything's coming up, Nobuo.
But yeah, with Dyer and Strays, they got money for nothing, but they kick you for free.
I've got mine set up for later.
Good. You know, if Dyer, Straizo, and Tonpetti had arrived like an hour earlier, Zepelli would probably still be alive.
I also like how Tonpetti asks, like, "Where's Zepelli? Is everything okay? Don't play dumb asshole."
Yeah, it's like, oh god, oh, the man who knew when he was gonna fucking die is shocked when he's dead.
I forgot that I had a joke here for them. Honestly, I forgot it. For Dire Straits and Tonpetti, they must be brothers in arms and heartbreakers.
Time for a wacky customs joke as we mourn our fallen comrade. The humor gets a lot better in JoJo, I swear. It's also more sporadic and better tone-wise. Like,
I was reading a Reddit post today about someone who watched the first season of JoJo thinking it was supposed to be a comedy and was waiting the entire season for it to start getting funny.
Oh, that's a bad way to watch JoJo. Because, like, JoJo can be very intentionally funny. Like, there's some really fucking good jokes later on. But it's not always a comedy. It just has, like, you know, like with most things, it has jokes to toss in just to lighten the mood. I'm thinking of one in particular after one of the deaths in Part 6 that I really love. Alright, we got a full party, time to storm Dio's castle. After they drop off Poco first, and what the fuck are those?
Are those man cats?
I hate them.
Are those fucking man cats?
I hate them. What do you mean? Good.
Those are the dogs from Mars Attacks.
What are you, Man-Cheetah? Cool. Oh yeah, I fucking hate those human-animal hybrids. They're disturbing, and one of them needs to die because he's fucking gross. You know the one.
Fucking Dio's playing like Sid in Toy Story.
I don't want to play with you anymore. Probably the weakest episode of Part 1, but still good.
It definitely has its moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gone for a little while. Did I miss Doobie?
No, that's next episode. While you were gone, we were just talking about Dyer and Strace's voice actors. So what do you think of this episode, though?
I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good episode. I did sort of run into the issue where it felt like two half episodes rather than one full episode.
Yeah.
Because like the whole conflict got resolved in the beginning, and then the rest of it was just set up for episode 8.
Yeah.
So I guess like in that way it was good that we segmented the episodes like this. That this was the first one of a 3-episode session.
Oh yeah, I've been doing this on purpose, just very like trying not to leave off on in the middle of something.
Okay, I do appreciate that, because, like, yeah.
It's why we're covering 4 episodes next time.
Sweet, alright.
Ariel?
the episode was extremely weak. I did get a lot of good puns out of it,
There you go.
but that it was just it was kind of meh compared to the other two that are coming up.
Like, I'd say this is the weakest episode in part 1, easily. But that's fine. And before we move on, Eli says about the animal hybrids, tell them I hate them! We'll get to Futurama later on. Episode 8, Bloody Battle, JoJo versus Dio, not to be confused with any other episode in part 1. We open on yet another family member slapping Poco. It's the 1800s, alright.
Starting
Yeah,
off
poor
strong.
Poco.
Poor Poco.
Poco always getting hit.
Sorry, Poco, but your sister is in another castle.
So when they showed her at the end of the last episode, I literally thought that was supposed to be Arena.
No, Aaron is an adult now!
That's how cookie cutter these female characters are.
I swear they
Yeah.
get better. Part 2 has an amazing female character.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah. I ain't gonna defend how weak these ones are, though. I like Erina, but I ain't gonna defend that. Looks like JoJo and crew are on their way to rescue Poco's sister. I mean, they were going that way anyway, but might as well do that too. Those animal hybrids are creepy, except the owl cat. The owl cat is cute.
Yeah, the owl cat is the most adorable thing, and I want a plushie of it, but fuck those other chimeras.
Yeah, it's the ones that are fused with humans that are creepy. Yeah, that... Dio, please stop talking. Because he was like...
What do the 5 fingers say to the face?
But we gotta talk about how I think we're all like, okay, I hate that little dog man for creepily talking about how young Poco's sister is. He needs to die. And then Dio obliged by axe kicking the shit out of it.
Very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
Even Dio's like, come on, man. Show some class. At least Dio offers her a choice, I guess?
And this is while he was holding the rose and everything, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. He was practically quoting Kiss from a Rose right then, so it made me wonder, did Seal watch this by any chance?
Might have read it. Here we go, Coco. Here comes Doobie. He's not on screen enough to talk about his voices in full, but shoutouts to Kurt Thornton, who plays him in English. He's great in everything he's in.
When Dio said, I present to you Doobie, I was like, that was the first like rock band named character where that audibly made me go, come on, man.
Because there's only one. They're not brothers. There's only one.
I like how they call him Doobie right at the 420 time code.
I didn't notice that. That's awesome.
But Doobie? I mean, he has such an intimidating look with such a stupid name.
I've got an explanation once we reveal what Doobie actually is. I've got an explanation.
I'm just thinking Invader Zim. Doobie, 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 and then JoJo with the fucking Tom and Jerry anvil.
Where's the leak, man?
Surprise! Doobie's full of snakes like Oogie Boogie's full of bugs.
So, here's why. Because Doobie is a snake man.
Yeah.
Snake Man is a name of a Doobie Brothers song.
Oh, okay. Huh, that's extra clever.
I really like that, actually.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Where did Doobie get those varieties of snakes from all over the world? Maybe the snake convention was in town, I don't know.
It's just, you haven't watched Black Butler or Book of Circus yet for Black Butler, but there's a character in Book of Circus who just has every type of snake and just talks with them. And that was what it was reminding me of on that.
Fair enough. JoJo fucking flexes the poison that the snakes bite into him. He just flexes it out. Holy fuck.
It's gotta be an explanation for everything, so.
Yeah. Well, Doobie went out like a fucking chump, and that's basically a wrap on Poco and his sister. Time for a group of merry men to slay Dio. Jonathan bursts in and is like, I'm back from hell, Dio! That's me after dealing with LA traffic.
Chattanooga traffic for me.
I feel like in regards to like the flexing out the poison, as well as like the entire like Dio and JoJo fight sequence in this episode, which I will get into later, but like I feel like going back to the point about the comedy in this show, I feel like a lot of the humor does kind of come from these absolutely batshit insane things happening, and the fact that the show plays it completely straight.
Oh yeah. Like, it's the absurdity of it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, his whole body became ice. Like,
Yeah.
Let's get to that.
Yeah, Araki put such great detail in even the smallest background character. I love it. Allow me to be frank, JoJo. I thought your name was Dio. I knew that was going to get no reaction.
I was going to say, don't call me Shirley.
It's like John Mulaney said. That always gets a groan, but once you put it in, it stays in the bit forever. Dio pulling the "we're not so different, you and I" cliche, but he's Dio, so it makes it work.
So I thought it was very out of character for him. I thought he loved giving JoJo swirlies.
I mean, he didn't fucking keep it for long. He quickly diverted to "I should have slaughtered you before you got so tough," which is also in character for Dio.
Fair point.
All right, time for JoJo and Dio to settle this. Dyer, what are you doing? I love Dio's line. You think you could beat me with such sleepy movements? Oh shit. It's time for Dyer to bust out his super secret, unbeatable special move. Then I'm going to need you to edit in the clip, because I'm going to play it right now. Hang on. This is a big meme in JoJo.
Oh, is this the clip you told us to watch from
Yes.
the sub? Yeah.
That's a big old meme. It's basically the JoJo Rickroll, and oh hey, Dyer's dead.
Okay, so
This is the funniest part of this set for me.
So here were the two things I had. First off, you can obviously know that when Dio plays Mortal Kombat, he plays a Sub-Zero.
Yep.
And, man, about Dyer, getting his head blown off like that, I guess you could say that Dio is a real Sultan of Swing.
There you go.
I was just thinking, like, if Dyer is his name, so really, like, he died. I'm like, well, it was in, like, that was
His job description, yeah.
That was the stated function of the man.
Yeah, there you go. It's hilarious to me that this supposedly unbeatable move has a 0% hit rate.
Yeah, but when Dyer became just the head, he cashed in his ticket to heaven and got a tuxedo mask moment.
Yep, he did. Dyer's flash frozen, ready to be served with Gorton's fish sticks, or roses, that works too. This is probably only going to be a joke for me, but Zen or Phil, please put in the bit from the end of Strong Bad email 125, where Strong Bad gets a rose thrown in his eye. It's just too specific for me. Rose face! Rose face! I will say, Dyer has impeccable aim for just a head.
It's still stupid,
Yeah.
but at least they don't linger on it for too long.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need to watch more Homestar Runner.
Right? I'm frankly shocked that the Sword of Luck and Pluck isn't a more popular anime weapon. It's really cool looking. We got a line from Dio. You dare touch me with Hamon filthier than frog urine? Oddly specific, Dio.
I don't remember that from the sub.
Really? Yeah, that was in the sub.
I thought that was in the dub.
I must have fucking blacked out at that part.
It was in both, yeah. Dio's done fucking around, and he sinks his zombie horde on our heroes. Strazo's going up against those weird-looking zombies from earlier. These are Plant, Page, Jones, and Bonham. Get it?
Yeah. Yeah. When they say the Japanese name, it's so much more difficult to understand.
Yeah.
Paiju, Jones, Kurant, and something about Bottom.
Yeah. Coco, do you get it?
No, I do not.
Those are all the members of Led Zeppelin.
Ah, that's fun.
Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, Robert Plant, John Bonham.
Yep. And if Jimmy Page is not dead, he should probably be in prison.
Zoinks!
Yeah, it's real bad. But yeah, these are the members of Led Zeppelin, and they, oh hey, Strazo marked them. I'm doing this gag a lot today.
I want to say, like, the part whenever Dio would be like, "You dare!" like you dare hit me with that rose, like. I kept expecting him to like just do a direct restatement of that one Ganon line from the Zelda CDI games, like, "You dare bring light to my lair?
You must die!" I mean, that is applicable to Dio, frankly.
Yeah, because he's a fucking vampire.
Yeah. Speedwagon once again playing play-by-play commentator, which saves me some work. And then from the makers of Pocket Sand, Pocket Roses! JoJo smartly circled around to Dio's blinded eye and cut off his arm. Nice work. And oh my god, Jonathan cleaves Dio in twain, but of course that's not enough.
It's never that easy.
No.
They really need to nerf Dio's freezing power, my god.
I was about to say, like, I feel like the power creep is gonna get really insane.
Don't worry, Araki forgets that when Dio comes back.
It's just, I'm thinking about the next bit, and it's just...
Yeah, oh yeah, the grossest bit in these episodes with Dio playing with Jonathan's carotid artery. Ugh! Oh, I hated it.
Honestly, I can feel it happening in my skin right now.
Ugh!
Yeah, just thinking about it makes your skin crawl.
Dio talking while split in half is really fucking funny.
And he just, like, has to put his face back to normal.
And it's slightly askew for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And then just like...
He has to level his head together.
Oh god, it was funny.
My question was less like, how are you alive? It was more like, how are you forming words?
That's a valid question.
You can't close your mouth.
Because I'm Dio, that's how.
It kind of reminds me of, okay, this is another one that is probably more specific for me, but Corpse Bride. There is one character in Corpse Bride that is a gentleman. He goes, "Pardon me," and then he splits apart and says, "Pardon me," while he split in half and just hops right beside Victor between, Yeah. That's what it made me think of.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
It's been a long time since I've thought of that movie.
Right? Let's see. Speedwagon with a sledgehammer. He tried. And oh shit, the sword was in the fire! And oh damn it, the sword broke.
I guess
but
that's
at least he thought.
Yep. And now it's time Good.
Sorry, I guess that's why it's not as reverent of an anime weapon.
That's fair. It's time to grit those fucking teeth, Dio! Shit, that didn't work. And now Dio has tentacle veins. So, I ask again, who watched the sub this week?
I have been consistently watching the dub.
Fair. There is one clip. Good.
I've been consistently watching the sub. So.
There are two clips that I linked that I wanted those who watched the dub to watch. One was Thundercross Split Attack, and the other was the first impetus of Dio's catchphase.
Useless.
Yeah, it was really funny hearing just it being literally translated in Yeah, in English, in the dub they just translated it to useless. Which is funny, but what makes me have questions about part 3 for reasons. I love the camera work when he's doing it too, just like zooming in and bending in weird angles and shit. Like it captures how fucking mad Dio is.
Like just the focus on the eyes too.
Yeah, like it's like in Yu-Gi-Oh when a character will have a really fucked up face when they're turning into full villain.
Oh yeah, like when Merrick did.
Merrick, yeah. Yubel, Sora, there's a lot of them. With enough conviction, humans can do anything. Humans will grow. Okay, I was kidding about the Gurren Lagann reference. And then we get a JoJo Falcon Punch, which is up there with the actual F-Zero anime's Falcon Punch in terms of great punches. And it works. JoJo punches through Dio, whose body starts to disintegrate as he falls off the castle. And that's the end of that chapter, right?
His death gurgles, maybe. His death gurgles, I thought he sounded like Meatwater Stitch.
What the hell, JoJo? Goodbye, JoJo! Goodbye, JoJo! Oh shit, Dio has eye lasers!
You know, with that late eye laser splitting in the sky and everything, we just saw a Zepelli just right there in the sky in that image. Do you think Dio split Zepelli? Well,
You just got hit by the Zentetsuken.
His fucking ghost gets cut in half. It's like, not again! But yeah, castle's crumbling. Get the fuck out. I do like that even now Jonathan sheds tears for Dio. That's just the kind of guy Jonathan is.
Reminder, he killed your dog.
Yeah, but he was... it's one of those things where, yeah, he sucked, but he was still the closest thing to family Jonathan had left.
Yeah, but he killed your dog.
I know!
And he tried killing the dad, and actually successfully killed the dad in a way.
And as the ghost of Zepelli watches on, our tale comes to a wait. There's one more episode. What do we think of this episode?
I really enjoyed this one. Like, it's a very nice palate cleanser from the previous episode. We get a lot more action, and we get what's supposed to be, or what we think is supposed to be, the culmination and the climax. But of course, there is the one more episode.
Yeah, I love this fight. This like, it's either this one or the one in episode 3 that's the best Jonathan versus Dio fight.
Honestly, I think this one is definitely the better of the two fights, and this was the episode I had the more notes on. I was enjoying it a lot, and was actually trying my best to pay attention because it was honestly a great episode.
This one was definitely like, hear me out. I have been watching. I've been like sort of. I've been watching this show over the past 2 weeks, but also like I've been re-watching BoJack Horseman because my sister's been watching through it for the first time.
Yeah.
And so I like that there's sort of like, kind of two different kinds of finales in a season, where there's like the sort of like the plot finale and the like emotional finale.
Yes.
And it sort of felt like this run of episodes had like one of each. Like this felt like the sort of like story climax.
There's an epilogue there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a theme with JoJo parts. They always have a little epilogue at the end.
I really like that.
Yeah. We were just talking about how this is. Which is the better fight in your opinion? This fight or the one in episode 3?
This one.
Fair.
So I guess I'm the only one that liked the 1 and 3 of it.
I think they're about the same. Let's move on to episode 9 though. Episode 9, The Final Ripple. I don't have a joke for that title. We open on Dio falling off the cliff. I went to boot up episode 9. I was like, how's this one open? Ah! Oh, right. I would have loved it if he hit a bunch of mini cliffs on the way down, like Homer falling down the Springfield Gorge.
Oh my god, Theo becoming Plinko head.
We need to have Becky make Dio Plinko. Oh my god, there we go. Yeah, and Eli. Turns out he survived by cutting his head off. Probably the first time that sentence has been said.
Of fucking course.
And Wang Shan rescued him from the rubble. Well, shit.
So he is now the horsemanless head featuring Wang Chung tonight.
There you go. And we then see the aftermath of that fateful night. The dead are being written off as an unsolved mystery. Dio's clothes were burned, and even Speedwagon got a kill. I didn't even do that intentionally. It's just ingrained to me now. He destroyed the mask with a sledgehammer.
What? No epic quest to destroy it in the fires of Mount Doom or something?
No, the fire were for Dio's clothes. We then get a staple for JoJo, which is when it's the last time they're going to use an opening, they put sound effects on it. Neat. This is another reason why you don't skip the openings. Like, I usually recommend, if there's a thing before the opening, just using that time during the opening to like, finish writing shit down. But another reason is sometimes they change. Oh, and Jonathan and Erina got married. Poor Speedwagon couldn't go along with them on their honeymoon, though. What do we think of the wedding here?
I love how much they have in common. Like, they're both there.
I will say, they're actually a really cute couple.
Sure. No. What the actual couple interactions between them are really nice. It's just that we don't see the actual development of the relationship. We
that's true.
Are told about it, and then we see the culmination stages.
Yeah, again, Araki gets better about that. Yeah, Erina's dress is fucking beautiful. A marvelous wedding all around. And no need, they're heading to America. I just want to see fan art of Erina and Jonathan at Disneyland. The entire gang's here to see JoJo and Erina off. Speedwagon, Tonpetti, Strayzo, Poco's nameless sister, and all the other Ogre Street thugs. To be honest, who forgot who they were?
Me, honestly.
I did.
All of us did, I think.
Yeah, because they don't show up for like 7 episodes, and they were barely there at the beginning. But they are technically survivors. Has anyone seen Wishmaster?
I have not.
Basically, that movie's plot kicks off with a coffin being dropped on Ted Raimi.
That sounds like something Ted Raimi would find himself in.
Right? So we have one last reference for part 1. Father Sticks.
Of course, he's sailing away.
I wrote that too.
Sail away.
Good.
I mean, we could see that the way he treats religion, he's a real renegade.
I had a renegade joke too, damn it!
Sorry.
It's fine. Well, at least one of us got it in.
No, go ahead, make yours.
It's when he dies.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, never good when the coffin you're carrying makes thumping sounds. So Jonathan and Erina are... Poca, we were talking about how, you know, in the interactions we see, Jonathan and Erina are a really cute couple.
I don't know. I feel like... I mean, there's a little moment that I liked where, like, he hits his head on, like, the...
I love that.
Like, on the door frame. And I'm like... And I thought about it. I was like, oh, like, what would make, like, this, like, super, like, sharp-honed hero, like, do something like this? And, like, make that mistake. I was like, oh, I get it. He's vulnerable because he's around the person he loves. And I thought that was cute.
Yeah, like, they have very little on-screen time together, but the time they do have is really nice. Yeah, Jonathan and Erina are off, and the universe is setting up romantic scenes for them. Aww. And Jonathan's too big for the boat. It's fun. It's about to get so damn tragic. I don't have any jokes. I don't have any jokes. Jonathan and Erina are just a great couple. Father Sticks is already drunk and dropped his damn cross, which he plans to sell for booze. What a great priest.
That's where the renegade joke would work.
Yep. I've never had alcohol. Cut to Erina drinking Jonathan under the table. Although, as we'll learn, it's probably a good thing she didn't have more than a sip here. And I'll break this up now. Since Jonathan did, in fact, get Erina pregnant, I have to ask, you think hormone affects one's performance in bed?
I'm
trying to think, when did she get pregnant?
Keep in mind, this was not the, like, they probably had a wedding night. This is after they got married. Like, this is the next day, so I think.
Yeah, but it was too quick for her to realize that she was pregnant.
I think her realizing it is, like, her narrating after they got rescued.
But I thought she was... Wasn't she rubbing her belly? I couldn't remember.
I don't think she was. If she was, I could be wrong. It could have been a couple months.
No, she was holding the baby.
She was just full from that very fancy dinner.
Fair.
Yeah, there's no moment where during the episode she indicates that she's pregnant until that narration.
Yeah, okay, then yeah, it was probably the day after. So they probably just had sex after the wedding. It's fine. They're adults. They're allowed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it could have even been before the wedding.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they could have been progressive. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Point is,
Sex after or before marriage.
But no sex after marriage. What are you, a comedian from the 50s?
Sex after marriage.
What are you, Rodney Dangerfield? Oh fuck.
Oh, tough crowd.
Eli says hormone beat indeed. We won't get to that till next time. Oh. Yeah. Oh shit, Wineshine is here. Jonathan does the smart thing and immediately asks Erina to head to safety while he goes to solve this. Oh, Father Sticks is doomed. Sure enough, killed by his own cross. What a renegade.
Absolutely destroyed.
Dio's back!
Yes, here we go. Dio looks like he's finally ready for the new season of Futurama.
Yeah. So yeah, Dio's a Futurama-like head in a jar now, and he wants Jonathan's body. Shit, wrong phrasing.
You're not wrong.
It's the zombie, and this is where I put, y'all think the show would be ballsy enough to show that baby getting eaten? I forgot 2 episodes ago, or an episode ago, they showed a baby getting eaten. I mean, it probably would, but this particular baby is plot relevant, so they're fine. Because of you, the world has slipped from my grasp. Heh. That'll be funny later.
I like the idea of them being like, well, how do we let the audience know that Dio is evil? Maybe he's just sitting there while a baby gets eaten, and like like they're like doing the 9th episode. It's like, so we're gonna eat the baby. It's like, nah, we already did that. Then an animator who like has like a drawing of like someone eating a baby is like, oh, like crumples it up and throws it in the trash can.
He's got the munchies for a California cheeseburger. Oh fuck! A lot of Simpsons references tonight, which is normal for me. Oh right, the eye lasers. Ouch! Right in the neck twice.
The only way Dio would get in, JoJo.
Hey! The neck laser wounds are gonna make Hamon difficult, I will admit.
Hard to use breath when you can't breathe.
This is where I put, because of his interaction with Erina, Dio, you fucking bastard. just mocking Erina at this point. It's like, remember me? Yeah, no shit she remembers you, you dickhead.
Yeah, she thought pond water was tastier than you.
I would have loved it if Erina was like, wanna know how that pond water tasted? And then kicks him into the ocean.
You need a real character for that to happen.
I know!
I know it's gonna get better. I'm just being critical now.
Let me put it this way. Wait till the character that Zen is drawn as shows up. In the next part. It won't be for a bit in the next part, but it'll be in the next part.
Alright, fair enough.
Oh shit, the zombies! Killed by a life preserver. Write that down, Alanis Morissette!
I was about to say, not much of a lifesaver, was it?
Yay! Oh, and there goes the baby's other parent. I don't know why I put passenger. I think because they were talking about the passengers on the ship. Can zombies swim? Because I know in Zombie 2, a zombie fights a shark.
Actually, they don't swim. They would sink to the bottom of the ocean and just walk across the ocean.
Right, because Island of the Dead, yeah!
And not just that, but several zombie things do that.
Yeah.
Because I know Walking Dead did something similar with that.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think World War Z did that as well.
Yeah, okay.
It would just really aid with the decomposition of their bodies.
Oh, yeah. Oh no! Dio's gonna take Manhattan, and the Muppets haven't had a chance to!
Or Jason!
Or Jason, yeah! I was originally gonna put Jason, then I thought the Muppets would be funnier.
There's like 2 different episodes of like the modern Doctor Who series where it's like blank takes Manhattan, and it's really funny to me every time.
Yeah!
Huh.
At the very least, those probably use Manhattan more than Jason Takes Manhattan does. I love that Wang Chan calls Hamon mischief. Dio will have no disrespect of his new body. But meanwhile, JoJo didn't hear no bell.
It's strange that it took getting decapitated for him to finally start looking up to JoJo, and not just literally.
God damn it! Well, JoJo, I finally got ahead of you. I'm gonna take your body now! With one last burst of Hamon, Jonathan saved Erina and blasts Wang Chan's head completely off, sending the body clinging onto the ship's guiding screw shaft. Shit. And oh shit, something internal just broke in Jonathan. With what,
good.
Yep. With what looks like his final moments, Jonathan tells Erina to get herself and that baby to safety instead of dying with him. I'll give him this. Selfless until the end.
Yeah, I honestly didn't expect Jonathan to die right there.
Yeah. In fairness, you confused him with a different JoJo. We'll get there.
Yeah.
It's fucking heartbreaking that Erina resigned herself to die with the man she loved, and yet she knows that she can't let an innocent person die with her. Jonathan's altruism is with her always.
Yeah, it's such a heart-wrenching moment.
The line that hit me the hardest was, to me, that heroism is cruelty.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man. Oh shit, Dio's still here. I forgot. And so are the zombies. Fuck. It's too late, though. And just as Erina's about to get hit by shrapnel, Jonathan blocks it to save her. Dio's not quite a corncob yet. I'm not out! I'm not out! As he latched onto Jonathan's head and is gonna hide in that coffin bunker. Denied, though! Erina sent crashing into the coffin and Jonathan into Dio's arms. Jonathan can't fully hate his brother and hugs him in his final moments. Dio offers Erina and Jonathan a chance at eternal life, but it's too late. Jonathan Joestar, our hero, is dead.
I'll give you anything, your own galaxy.
You want a new puppy? I'll give you 2. I haven't even burned these ones yet. And then the ship blows the fuck up.
For good measure.
Now, You may be asking, how the fuck does Dio come back? Here's the thing.
I didn't even know that he did.
Oh yeah, he'll be back in a future part. They had to retcon this because Araki originally killed him off here. and then part 3, where he shows up again, they had retconned it to be like that there was a second compartment in the coffin, so he took Jonathan's body and hid in there.
Oh, come on.
Again, this was not supposed to happen originally, but they needed to bring Dio back because he was so fucking popular.
Okay.
Trust me.
Good. I mean, knowing that now, it feels like it kind of cheapens Jonathan's sacrifice, but okay.
He didn't know that at the time! Like, Jonathan still tried.
I feel like there's still a way to write out of it.
Yeah, again, I had to Google that, so it's never brought up in the show, but there is like a lore explanation if you're really curious. Point is, Dio will return because he's notoriously fucking hard to kill. Just good.
Oh, you said lore explanation. I thought you said lore explanation, and I was really confused. That's why I was quiet for like a few seconds.
No, it's fine. I'm trying to think.
What do you have to do with this?
I'm trying to think if there is a super environmental message in JoJo at any point. I don't think there really is. There's other political messages, but not that.
I guess Dio speaks for the trees too now.
I speak for the trees! It didn't work.
Trees of the world!
Yeah, well, the world thing will make sense in part 3, eventually. But for now, Erina and the baby, the ship's only survivors, float off to America, as the narration points out that they got rescued near the Canary Islands. And although Jonathan's dead, the Joestar legacy will live on, both with the baby in Erina's arms and the one she'll give birth to in the future. Indeed, Jonathan knocked her up before the cruise. I couldn't think of an elegant way to put that.
Yeah.
And as we look at all the characters we lost along the way, Phantom Blood comes to a close. But wait! We see a mysterious man frozen in stone in Jungle Temple. And with Roundabout playing us out, we have a setup for part 2. This is a great ending, and a truly bold one, especially for the time. Like, killing off JoJo is a huge move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always... I mean, I thought it was extremely unexpected that they killed off JoJo at the end of the first season, and it makes sense narratively, and you know what, as a writer, like, I'm glad they did. If it works to the narrative, then yeah, kill off the character, even if it's someone you love.
Yeah, and I think we can all talk about this now. What do we think of Jonathan as a character?
In the same vein of, like, people being really tired of, like, the sympathetic villains and just wanting, like, a villain who's bad for the sake of bad.
Oh, that's the show.
I have also been sort of wanting for, like, a hero who's good just for the sake of, like, good. Kind of like what people have been saying about Superman lately. And,
yeah.
Like, I got that with Jonathan, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Jonathan is just... There are many facets to the Joestar bloodline. Jonathan is just the moral center. He's the heart of the Joestar bloodline. He's the reason these guys keep fighting evil. Even when they're not, the valiant hero type, they still do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just think he's a very sweet himbo.
Yes. Although he's actually very smart, to his credit. He's a fucking archaeologist. Yeah. But he's a very Bara man.
Yeah.
They don't really bring up a whole lot anymore throughout the later episodes.
Yeah. And as the other points out, next arc we get a trickster hero.
I do like that, talking about JoJo. I like talking about, you said, how he's the moral center of the Joestar legacy. I like that he has that strict moral code that he keeps himself by, and he never compromises or deviates from it. That's his being honorable, like Coco was saying, being good for the sake of good. I thought that he very much exemplified that.
Yeah. And it doesn't keep him from doing what needs to be done. Like, it hurts him to kill Dio, but he does it because he knows that other people are going to get hurt if he doesn't.
And it hurts that he has to just be without his love now, but he saved multiple people by sacrificing himself in the long run.
Yeah.
Or at least he thought he was.
Yeah, there is a reason that despite only being in 9 episodes, people fucking love Jonathan Joestar. He is just a great, great guy. Like, other JoJos are more fun, or more complex, but he's just good. And sometimes that's what you need to start a series.
I mean, I was going to say, as far as establishing a series goes, this works as a good first part. Like, it gets us through everything that we need to. We have that moral center. We have this great character arc. This fantastic. Sorry, I'm just rambling at this point.
It's fine. We made pretty good time, so you got time.
It sets up everything very well. It gets us into the headspace of what the Joestars are going to be like. It demonstrates the tenacity and the strength that they have. We set up all of the music references. We have Dio in there, who's a great setup as a villain. Like, it's a great establishing first part, and as you said, it gets more complex later on. So, see, that will be great. But as far as just setting everything up, I feel like this was good enough to set everything up.
Yeah, and I feel like the best JoJo's combine, as Eli pointed out in the comments, like Part 4 is JoJo or Part 6 is JoJo. They combine the best elements of the first two JoJo's. They combine Jonathan's desire to do good and determination, and Part 2's wiliness, as we'll see soon. I think that's a good segue, as ever, to talk about what we thought of Part 1 as a whole.
I mean, I just went, so...
Yeah. Part 1 is definitely the weakest JoJo part, but that's only just because it didn't have enough time to become what JoJo is. Like, it didn't go full JoJo because it was still developing that. But for what we got, we have a really good setup and a really good cast of characters. And some of them even return. But, yeah, I really, like, in analyzing it through this podcast, I really actually appreciate Part 1 a lot more, just because it's just a really good story.
And if it only goes upward from here, like, I can only imagine how good it's going to get.
Oh, yeah. Coco, what'd you think of Part 1?
I really liked it. I think, like, going off what was said earlier, like, it was surprisingly accessible. Like, I was very easily able to latch on to, like, how the world worked, what the characters were doing, what they wanted, what was at stake. Like, all of it was like telegraphed pretty well.
Yeah.
And like I was having a really good time all throughout, and I'm very excited to see what's next.
Ariel?
Honestly, it was a very good introduction. I do hate that women were a bit more wooden comparatively.
I know. It was Japan in the 80s. I don't know what to tell you.
I understand that. It's just it's a valid criticism.
Yeah, it is. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah,
It totally
absolutely.
is.
Yeah. But other than that, it really... I agree. It is a really great anime in general. It basically exemplifies the true dichotomy of good versus evil.
Yeah. And, well, let me segue here. Well, I believe that's time to segue to what Zen and Phil thought of both episodes 7 through 9 and Part 1 as a whole.
And hey everybody, I'm Zenith Warrior Princess, the cutest of buns. I'm here once again with Filip Konzorowski, my partner, and we're taking up the slack from Rosen and Company. They already talked about their stuff on their end. Now it's time to talk about the last 3 episodes of Phantom Blood, 7, 8, and 9. I have quite a bit to say about this.
I do too.
But I think the biggest thing, I think the biggest thing overall for me is that I rewatched these episodes because there's only 9 episodes in Phantom Blood, so I rewatched it all just to kind of get a general pace for stuff. And the biggest thing that I noticed was that, Kana.
The biggest thing you noticed was Kana? Holy crap, I didn't know Kana was in JoJo. That's so sick, Zen. Why'd you never tell me that?
Hold on. Kana snuck her way into the room.
Well, while Zen's preoccupied with Kana, I want to say hello, everyone. I know it has been another long while since we did episode 2. I greatly apologize for that. It's, a lot of stuff has been happening, stuff I'm probably going to say in an update video, which I know I've been saying for a few months now, but trust me, it has been a hectic few, I should just say hectic month. It has been, not just hectic, it's been kind of a shit month, and a lot of it I can't really go into, but I'm happy that
There's been a lot of stuff, so Kana is here to break up the tension. In any case,
yeah.
I went back because it's been a long time. I went back and I rewatched the 9 episodes of Phantom Blood simply because it had been so long for me. It's been a couple months.
Speaking of which, how are you doing, Zen?
I'm doing good. I today's my day off work, so I'm just resting, and I spent a lot of it watching JoJo, and I got some groceries and I got some stuff done, so that was nice. I rewatched these 9 episodes of JoJo, and what I noticed primarily is the pacing. And this was something that I brought up in the last few episodes, but what I wanted to bring up was the first 3 episodes, like for the first 2, seemed very rushed to get to a certain point, and that wasn't fully the case in the manga. The next 3 episodes are paced properly like a shonen anime, and they actually flow much better. But then you get to 7, 8, and 9, and they're very weird to me, in that Episode 7 works fine as the end of a shonen storyline. Episode 8 is partially rushed and partially a fantastic ending. And Episode 9 is an epilogue that probably should have come a little bit later. So I feel like this could have been a couple more episodes because it definitely felt rushed at parts. Another thing I do want to bring up is that I mentioned, I think it was last time, that I was having issues trying to figure out how Haman worked, and I finally figured it out after watching this multiple times. Essentially, Haman can conduct through non-living things. It can't destroy living things. Wait, no, that. Essentially, Haman can conduct through non-living things, but it only destroys living things. So, for example, when we get to part 2, where they're like, oh, I can't destroy this because it's a stone, you can conduct Haman through a stone, or through leaves, or through hair, or steel, but you can't use it, to destroy non-living things, which I find interesting.
Way to start our section off with a analysis on Haman. That'll be a great way to get people to immediately skip our section of the video. No, I'm kidding.
This is how I think. I was trying to understand Haman for the longest time.
No, I get you. It's just, I do understand that perspective. It's just God, it's only the end of part 1. We still got the entirety of part 2 to go. I'm gonna be real. I'm really fucking just waiting till we get to stands because, oh my god, Haman is so boring. It's not as bad as I remember, but just the more you go on, the more they just have to try and come up with new ways to basically get across the same kind of abilities. And it's
it's a ripple. Haman blue overdrive.
I can see
Scarlet overdrive for fire and water, and then it's a steel overdrive. It just, you're doing the same thing with a different name.
I can see why Araki wants to replace this combat system, but as far as my view on these episodes, so like last time, I did not really go back to double check what I said in the previous videos, but I have a pretty good idea. So part 1 has been better than I remembered and worse than I remembered. Or not even worse. Not even really worse. It's been better than I remember and exactly how I remember at the same time. It depends on kind of the episodes, depends on the characters, the plot points. I will say, Jonathan and Dio's storyline, primarily in the first 3 episodes, has remained unchanged. I remember that stuff being great, and it was, for the most part, pretty damn good. I did like the fight against Tarukas and Blueford. Was it Blueford?
Yeah, it was Blueford and Tarkus and the two demon knights of Wind Knight's Lot.
Yeah, I remember that fight being like not very interesting. I did get more enjoyment out of it this go around than I did like when I first watched the part 1 like years and years ago. But as for these 3 episodes, I will say, of all the episodes that feel rushed, and of all the episodes that feel like they are sprinting to like get to the end, I definitely felt that the most with these, not these 3 episodes, primarily episode 7 and episode 8. I felt it at
Agreed.
Agreed. I felt it following the first Dio encounter in episode 3, where the first 3 episodes are pretty damn good. Like, you know, I did say back in the first episode of the series that I do wish that we had seen a bit more of that in between time between Jonathan and Dio having their fist fight in episode 1, and then 7 years later when they're faking to like basically pretending to be best of friends. So I do wish we had gotten a little bit more between then, but that is like ultimately not that big of a deal when we then cut to episode 4, when suddenly we are rushing to introduce a new power system, we are rushing to introduce Zepelli, we are rushing to introduce like all these new things, and then we are on our way. And the thing is, while all that stuff is rushed, when we go into, you know, actually traveling to where Dio is, and we get like the fights with Tarukas and Blueford, we actually, it starts to feel a little nice again, and like we get to like set Blueford and Tarukas up.
It feels like an actual shonen pace. You can definitely feel like it's paced up a bit, but like watching it, I wasn't looking at my clock as much as I was with the first 3 episodes, you know?
But then we get to like these episodes, and following episode 7, we have yet another case of like, oh, okay, I guess we're in the final battle against Dio now, which is like gonna take only an episode to get through. Like, after all this time of setting up Dio as like the final boss of the part, we're just getting that out of the way in 1 episode, and like it. I think I finally figured out what my real big problem with part 1 is. It's not that everything like down to the bone feels rushed. It's that going from plot points, like going from segments to the plot feel rushed. You know, going from them as 12-year-olds to like them like in college or like going into college, that feels rushed. Going from that to then suddenly, oh, Dio's alive, then we have to stop him, and here's Harmon, that feels rushed. Going from the Tarukas and Blueford fight into then just suddenly, instantly, we're going into a, we're going into the last battle against Dio, that feels rushed. It's like going from plot beat to plot beat, like, those are the bits that feel rushed, and then, like, you know, the actual, like, secluded, you know, stretches of plot themselves are good, they are told well, but you don't have time to process them because you need to like the actual transition.
We have to go to the next bit. Yeah,
you always
like
have
that's
to be
my
going to
problem
the
with
next bit,
episode. Yeah. My problem with episode 7 is like it could have been a good fight on its own, but it should have been 2 episodes because you had a really good fight against Tarkus, but it's completely undercut because you have the backstory of Zepelli just shoved in there. Fast. We have to get out of there. And I do keep bringing this up, but in the manga, it was at least paced slower out, and you had a little bit more time. If you had 2 episodes for this, that would have worked. And the same thing for Dio, because they infiltrate Dio's castle far too easily in the show. Like, it's just like, oh, by the way, we're jumping in. We have to fight Doobie, who's a guy with snakes, and they put a lot more of Doobie in the manga, but then there's like, okay, I'm Paige, I'm Plant, like all these like random singers, we don't even get to see them.
I have something to say about that actually. So there is a really a very good YouTuber by the name of Viva Reverie. She's a trans animator on YouTube, and she makes a series called, I think, X Series Really, Really Fast, or something along those lines. She's been doing it for JoJo. She's been doing like videos of that series for the JoJo parts. And for Phantom Blood, she has a bit at the end where it's like Jonathan goes up to Dio. It's like, okay, I've gone through all this stuff. Now let's, like, you know, finally finish the fight. And Dio cuts him off. And it's like, let's introduce 4 more named characters. I'm Paige. I'm Jones. I'm Pluton. I'm Barnum. We're all dead. Like, and they just instantly fall down. Because they just...
And it's like...
Well, like, it's legitimately like that, because we get introduced to them, they all say their names, and then the instant later, they are just all fucking down for the count. It's like, what was the point in introducing them with names?
Exactly, and here's the thing. It was fast in the manga. I'm not going to deny that, but at least in the manga, they brought up, like, you know, they had more than just a second, more than a panel. It felt like it was spread out a little bit more because the Doobie stuff was brought out, and it felt more like them rushing a gauntlet to reach Dio, whereas here, Dio's here, and then suddenly, oh, a lot of people are going to keep you at bay, but I'm going to fight Dio. And it's just like, it feels too easy to get into the castle in this version. That's the problem with cutting down so much of, well, I guess you could call it filler, but he spends all this time building up an army, and he doesn't use it. And also, they gloss over one of the stupidest and best parts of the thing. In episode 8, at the start, he has an owl head on top, like a cat head on top of an owl, and 2 people with dog bodies and human heads, and he randomly just kills one. They never show up again. There was a little bit more of that in the manga, at least. Here is just like, oh, we're here for 5 seconds, now we're gone. You see what I'm saying about the pacing, Phil?
No, I totally say, I totally agree about the pacing. Like, the pacing is just, like, very rushed in a lot of occasions. For me, I also just don't think it would be as bad if they just weren't introducing so many characters. Like, obviously I just mentioned the we're all dead bit, but, like, so... We also get... They have this entire army of stuff, the people to keep stuff at bay, but then there's Dyer and Straits and Tonpetti. That's what I was going to mention. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention, because, like, we get Zepelli's death in episode 7, which we'll circle back around to that. We're not really going episode by episode this time around, but that's fine, because we're going to save episode 9 for the end anyway, because all our problems, I'm going to assume, basically just come in these first 2 episodes. But we get Zepelli's death, which is, you know, not great, and I'm gonna explain why. But sorry, just cleaning some dust off the microphone. Sorry about that. But we get Zepelli's death, and then after that happens, we get the introduction of, like, 3 more characters. You know, like, just legitimately, I forgot how quick this happened. 1 scene after Zepelli dies, and we get introduced to Dyer as essentially his replacement. And it's like, Araki, did you really,
so weird.
Did you really need to undermine Zepelli's death like that? And then we get introduced to both Straizo and Tonpetti, and it's like, look, I get one or both of those 2. It comes back in part 2, and, like, I understand that you're setting it up for part 2, but at the same time, it's like they don't really fit into this story, so why did you just
They don't contribute much. They do a little bit more in the actual manga, because in the manga they give not only... because Dyer does a lot more in the anime, whereas in the manga, it's Straits actually shows his techniques. And so does Tonpetti. They actually get to fight in more than 5 seconds.
Like
and so it's like, it's weird that they do this.
Tonpetti I can excuse because we saw him in flashbacks, and so it's like, you know, getting to see him at the end here after, like, getting to see him in Zepelli, like in, like, all the scenes of Zepelli's past. It's like, I can understand that. It's like, I can totally understand that. Like, I don't mind that so much, but, like, then to introduce, like, Straizo. Also, just to make sure, are you watching the dubs then, or are you watching the?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I'm watching the dub.
Okay,
and it's so bad, but I love it.
What do you mean so bad? I fucking just love it unironically.
Like, here's the thing. I think it's well acted. I think Johnny Young Bosch does a fantastic job as lead character. I think voice acting wise is fine. I have a problem with the writing, especially because they make everyone British. And yes, it's set in Britain, but instead of having like normal things, it's like, I like the cut of his jib. And
no, I love that though. I love it's look. It's definitely a stylistic choice. I'll give you that. It's definitely like, you know, you could have gone without it, but I'm actually glad that they did it that way because it gives this part its own additional.
It gives
feel.
it character.
Yeah.
Because now I've seen the sub. I saw the sub first when I first watched it. Now I'm watching the dub.
Because I was gonna
the dub
ask.
does a good job of.
I was
bringing that in.
I was gonna ask because you were calling him like Strays instead of Strazo and stuff like that. So, and Tarkus instead of Tarukas. You know, I just wanted to like make sure we were on the same page in that regard.
Now, to be fair, I am watching the dub on Netflix, and they did say Straitso. Here's the thing, they're named after Dire Straits. Mm-hmm. It's Straits.
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm gonna leave it to you and Rosen to basically like just handle the music references because for like probably
because they mentioned Jimmy Page and Robert Plant as Doobie is another one. Doobie's a musician. Like there's plenty of musicians that randomly just appear here.
Yeah,
Tonpetti and his band of Heartbreakers. More than half of them. I'm probably not gonna know. Like
AC/DC. Who the fuck's that? No. But
you don't know Whammoo?
Yeah. But yeah. So what was I saying? All right. So yeah, Tonpetti. I can you know, I think is fine. If you want to have Straiso in there, fine. But I think maybe show him in some of the flashbacks as well to show like that he was being trained along with Zepelli as well. But you know,
because he doesn't appear in any of the flashbacks, which is. Like, I liked the flashback that Zepelli has with Tonpetti. It really works. It showcases the depth of their training. And then there's two things that happen out of nowhere. First of all, there's this guy who's actually a zombie who shows up pretending not to be a zombie, which is the weirdest thing. He's just like, she's gonna be so mad at you. And then he turns into a zombie, and I'm just like, well, okay, that was a fake out. And they defeat the zombie, and then all of a sudden, Dyer shows up. And he does his Thundercross split attack, and you're like, oh, is this another zombie? No, he's a companion who trained with him for 20 years.
Dyer just feels like such a superfluous character, especially because, like, you know, I just have my notes written down here, like, just to, you know, make sure I'm on track. And, like, Zepeli's death, I'll just read out what I wrote word for word. Zepeli's death kind of falls flat for me given that we hardly spend time with him. It's a spectacular display from the man, but I can't help but feel numb when Speedwagon cries over his quote-unquote friend, like his friend's death, when they didn't care for one another until just 2 episodes ago. It's like, yeah, it's like you up until
it's the same thing with Zepelli, but at least Zepelli had a week with them. They just met Dyer, so it's like you meet Zepelli, he's dead. You meet Dyer, all of a sudden he does his Thundercross split attack and he's dead.
Well, because like that's also my point in that, like, even with that week, like, we only have like 2 episodes of, like, not even of Speedwagon and Zepelli being quote unquote friends, because they had a rough patch and they patched it up in episode 5. So when Speedwagon's saying like, oh, you know, it was good. You know, it was good. I'm glad I knew you, friend. It's like, you know, you guys weren't friends. Like, calm down. And like,
this is why, like, a lot of this I feel like worked better in the manga, not because there's more of it, but when you're reading a book chapter to chapter, there's more time for you to take in scenery and like read page to page. And let me just look at how many chapters are in Phantom Blood.
And I'll have to take your word for it, because if I'm going to be real, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't know how much the manga would, like, impact my way of viewing this still, because it's still just a week. It's still the same, like, the exact same event, so I don't know, maybe it's more natural feeling.
It's 44 chapters. 44 chapters. So, like, let's put this into perspective. How many chapters? One Piece chapter 44.
Well, that's One Piece chapter 44. That would be somewhere, I believe, near the start of Barati. Baratier?
Yeah. So think about it that way. So they shoved everything from like 3 separate arcs, like everything from all of Kuro, Buggy, and that into 9 episodes. That's why I'm saying it worked better in the manga, because they took a little bit more time with their panels. Granted, like, yeah, there are still the same problems, but like, you know, that's just my thing. Is like you get so much more build up for Zepelli dying, and although like I kept while watching this, and this happens twice. Apparently, talking is a free action in JoJo, because twice you have Zepelli cut in half and his arm off, like Frieza, and he's still talking for like 5 minutes. And granted, apparently you can survive cut in half for around 5 minutes, but like with that amount of energy, okay. And then Dyer is just ahead. Dyer is just ahead, and he's still talking. He has no lugs.
It's like, how the fuck are you still talking, mate? But you know, whatever. It's JoJo's bizarre
it's
adventure.
Cool that he's
I can
able to
let it
blind him with a rose, but still, like,
Yeah,
I'm just like, what?
and that in that entire instance, it's like, okay, yeah, Thunder Cross split attacks. Like, it's a great meme, but also it's just like, legitimately, why have Dyer be introduced and then kill him after like only a few scenes, when it's like you could have just had Zepelli die here? What was even the point of Dyer? Just have Zepelli die here. Like, it's still...
And give him more character. It worked better in the manga, but Dyer still has no purpose in the manga, so...
It still wouldn't have been too much more time, but if you had Zepelli meet back up with his master before his death, and like, you know, and kind of build that up more, I could see it being a little more impactful when we see him finally die, because it's not just the people who he's known for legitimately just a week, but also his actual, like, loved ones who have known him for ages. Like, so I think
that's why part 2's a lot better, because at least we know these characters now, and we're kind of going off of, you know, characters that we care about, rather than we're just introducing them and just meeting them. And I get that adapting JoJo has been a curse for the longest time. And Phantom Blood, no one wants to adapt it properly, and I get that, but like, honestly, if they'd given this 12 episodes, I think it would have been better. I think it would have been paced better. I think you would have had more going on. It may not have drawn everyone in, but I feel like they were able to get across more just with each panels and stuff. And like, the opening of the show shows just that with its paneling and its layout. And I think that's, you know, they could have done a little bit more with that. But that's just me. Again, like, there's a part, like, episode 7 I'm not super miffed about, aside from like Zepelli's death, because it's foreshadowed and is randomly brought up then, and then it just comes out of nowhere and he has to shove in his backstory, and it's a lot. My biggest, I think episode 8 is my biggest disappointment, though, because they cut out so much of the storming the castle. Doobie's just randomly brought in there, and he doesn't really chase or like do much until like they just come in. There's all these random zombies that they just take out, no problem. They get rid of the man dog people so easily, and it's just like,
I will say,
when they get to Dio,
I will say when it does focus on
anticlimactic.
Yeah, but the thing is, I will say when it does focus on Jonathan versus Dio, it does, like, it is like the best part of episode 7 and 8, like particularly 8.
Agreed.
Yeah, and like I love like the dynamic that they show here. I love how Jonathan still cries even after Dio's death. It just really, you know, continues the strong characterization that I think Jonathan has by this point. I kind of regret calling him an idiot in episode 1, because I don't think he is stupid. Like, he's just very
It took a lot for Jonathan to grow on me, even rewatching this, I think, when he's younger. But it took until Ogre Street to realize the type of character Jonathan is. And I think finally rewatching it, I can say with certainty, Jonathan is a character who doesn't care what he has to sacrifice. He wants to protect others. He is a self-sacrificing character, a martyr figure, if you will. And there's a lot of bad luck associated with him, but he's a direct contrast to Dio, who takes and takes and takes.
I love
He
the
gives.
scene. I love the scene, and I think it's either the opening of episode 8 or I think in episode 7 actually, where Dio is Dio has like this mother with her child like in his castle, and it's like, you know, oh, become a vampire and I won't hurt your child. Although I am gonna just say, like, maybe it's better if your child becomes a vampire. And she's like, no, leave him out of it. And it's like, all right, do as you wish. And then the mother eats the child when she becomes a vampire. It's fucking great.
It's like, I kept my promise. We didn't touch you. And like that's the kind of, like, it really shows the depths that Dio is sunk to. But also you can see the evolution of Dio, because you know how Speedwagon says, oh, I know how to read people, and he was born evil. And it's just like, you start to think, like, how much has he been hiding? Because when he becomes a vampire, he goes from, like, 11 to 22. Like, he doubles because, like, he makes all these hybrid creatures, does all this stuff just because of a petty want for revenge. But at the end of it, he's just like, you know what, JoJo, I respect you. I hate you, but I respect you, so I'm going to take your body.
I guess that's a good transition as we're going to get to episode 9, which is one of the best episodes of the part. I would say that it, along with the first 3 episodes, is probably the highlight of Phantom Blood. I think that it ended on the best note it possibly could, with, like, you know, all that it had set up, even if it was rushed. I like the idea of having this, like, seemingly fairy tale happy ending of, like, oh, you know, Dio is defeated and Jonathan and Erina go off into the sunset. And, like, you know, in any other series this might feel like very, you know, like the way they end up doing things might feel very off, because, like, you know, after we just had the big climactic battle against Dio just comes back right after. I actually don't mind. Like, I don't mind that. I think that it's a nice, like, you know, bit of a jump scare at the end where it's like, oh, you know, everything's a happy ending. Jonathan and Erina have gone on and they're, you know, gonna live their life happily. They're going to the Americas. And it's like, nope, Dio's back and everything is fucked. Everyone on this boat is now just a zombie. Everything is screwed up. It's all gone to shit. Everything's on fire. And it's like, okay, we have to do best case scenario, which is Erina, take this baby and leave, because it's the only survivor on this ship. Just go, save yourselves, and I'm gonna die here with Dio because it's my responsibility. And it's a sad end. It's a really sad end, but, like, for the most noble and courageous JoJo lead by far, because I know for a damn fact that none of the other leads in JoJo are gonna be this, like, stand up. I think it's like I think it personifies not just who Jonathan is, it personifies just this first part as something I've been saying since the first episode, where this really feels like kind of just like a legend that's been passed on through decades and decades, whereas all the other parts are more contemporary, you know. But by the time we get to part 6, I believe that takes place in, like, the mid 2000s. You know, while all those parts are more contemporary, this first part is more so of, like, oh, it's a ye-old legend that's, like, you know, that like has been passed on through decades and decades, which is funny because, you know, by the end of the story, no one will know what would have happened on that ship aside from Erina. So, but, you know, I really like it. I really like the way it ends. I love seeing Dio's head kind of just Spider-Man its way throughout the boat with the fucking veins coming out of him. It's really funny. But yeah, I think it's a great way to end Phantom Blood.
Yeah, honestly, like, I love this ending. I love how just, like, it in episode 8, at the end, Speedwagon destroys the mess. He's like, it's all over. You hear that? We won. And I'm like, nah, there's like 8 more parts left. So it's not over yet. But I like that. Like, they're all a happy little ship, and then you see Wang Chen, the apothecary, show up, and you're like, oh, it's getting rough. And before he can act, he gets, like, his Haman is taken away because he's shot through the neck. And yet, even still, Jonathan makes this noble sacrifice, and it's a bittersweet ending, but it's one of my favorites because it actually is and feels like a fully well-paced episode and an epilogue to what's happening, because his whole thing was, even if I have to sacrifice myself, I will save others. And he managed to not only save Erina, but save a baby and new life as well. And they already have a child on the way too. So it's like they have stuff set up for the next part, but it's like it fully rounds out his character. I still don't like George, his father, because rewatching it again, George knew what was going on, and he kept saying, "Oh, was I too hard on him? Dio's taking me out because of blah, blah, blah." It's like, no, you're stupid. George is stupid. Jonathan, I can understand because he was noble and gentle and just wanted what's best. And even at the end, he didn't fully blame Dio because he grew up with Dio. So, like, he has these brotherly feelings towards him. There was a lot more that I got from this. At the same time, I feel like you needed at least another episode for the battle between JoJo and Dio. Yeah. Because while I love the battle, a lot of it's just them on the parapet. And like when they show up, he's just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna show up more minions. I got hurt, so I'm gonna snap my finger and minions show up." Like, just do your own battle, Dio. And how they fought him was interesting. Especially because I do like how they, set up earlier on with the Blueford and Tarkus, like, he has the ability to freeze his blood, and they have to find a way around it. So, like, they kind of got that with the fire, and that was pretty cool. It's just, like, there are a couple things where I'm just like, I wish they had done a little bit more, although him playing with the carotid artery, oh my god.
It's really funny. I guess to kind of summarize my thoughts, not just on these 3 episodes, but just Phantom Blood as a whole, for this episode, is just, I really like, I don't know if I'd say I really like, but I've really come to grow on Phantom Blood as an introduction to the story. It sucks that it took me 3 tries to really fully appreciate Phantom Blood from beginning to end. But yeah, of all the times I've seen Phantom Blood, this was by far the best experience I've had going through it, and I can actually see the areas in which it succeeds and the areas in which it kind of flounders. I really like Jonathan and Dio. They are by far the standouts. I love the way their story progresses across all 9 episodes. Everything else varies. I like Speedwagon, but I don't really care for Zepelli. There's a lot of pacing issues that like just bog things down with a lot of characters being introduced. And while I like the Tarukas and Blueford fight, I don't really care for what comes afterwards with like the gauntlet that happens going up to Dio. It's like, it's a lot of mixed bag. But like the stuff that works well enough that I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 or something. It's a really good introduction to the story, but it's one that I can definitely see every other part after this being better than.
One thing I will say, a lot of people show up and say you gotta skip Phantom Blood and watch the next part, and I'm just like,
nah,
no, you can't skip this. This is important for a lot of things and a lot of connections, but it's not a bad season. It is very rushed. It's 9 episodes. It has problems, but I would still call it good. I have issues with it, but it's good shonen, and it does a lot great with the vampire premise. Part 2 does so much better, building off of what came before. But I feel like you kind of need this as a startup, because it's only going to get more bizarre from here. And like, that's saying something when we had the cat owl and the human dogs and Doobie and like all these things from no reason. I think that there's a couple things that I still don't like. Poco is superfluous. They tried to give him an arc.
Is.
It didn't really work.
We barely talked about Poco these entire 3 episodes.
All his contribution was he wets himself, he gets hypnotized, and he enters the chamber and he opens the door for Zepelli to die and save Jonathan. That's his contribution. And surprisingly, like, his father survived. But it's funny because they tell you how many people died afterward. It's like only like a fifth of the town. I'm like, really? Okay. Because like, I could have sworn that the whole town had died, but okay. Like 77 people or something like that. And it's just like, okay. But it's just like, there's a lot of stuff in When Night Slot that is superfluous. I like a lot of it set up. I like a lot of Easter eggs that I didn't notice before, like the outfit that Jonathan is wearing throughout a lot of this is the Sherlock Holmes outfit.
Yeah.
And he's in Sherlock Holmes gear and fighting against Jack the Ripper. That's pretty clever. And I like that. I'm pretty sure that Dio's outfit near the end is inspired by a Clockwork Orange of all things. If you look at the end credits, the way his eyes look and with that hat, it almost feels like it's like he's basically taken from Clockwork Orange. So that's cool. But I feel like it was paced rather quickly, and it didn't give me enough time to really get a feel for the characters in this version. I read this first before watching the anime, so I had an idea of how it should have been paced. Again, 44 chapters. That's at least 3 whole arcs worth of material. If they had really taken their time, and I feel like, just give it 12 episodes would have been better. But even still, I like these characters. Speedwagon goes from, I'm a thug to, I'm just gonna be your best friend.
He's the best bro.
There's some really great stuff. He's the best bro. Zepelli's quirky for the sake of being quirky. His name's based on Led Zeppelin, but I feel like later on when we see more, his legacy is better than him. Tonpetti and his Heartbreakers, they were okay, but like aside from straights, we didn't really need them to show up. There's just a lot of stuff that stuff happens, especially the Jack the Ripper, because rewatching it again, like episode 2 starts with like randomly Jack the Ripper, but that'll be nothing compared to Dio, and then we don't see Jack the Ripper for like 5 episodes. It's just like
it's a very uneven part, but I do think that by the end it all comes together.
I don't give rankings. I do give it I give it a kind of stamp of approval. It's not perfect, but it's definitely watchable. It's definitely watchable.
Yeah.
And you're gonna need it for part 2, especially with how part 2 starts, and for the stuff that happens later.
And
I'm trying not to give spoilers.
And that is next. The next video that we will be doing for RoTho JoJo ShowShow is the first. I believe it's the first 3, it might be the first 4, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's the start of Battle Tendency. And starting from here, it's going to be interesting for me because, again, like I said at the very beginning, Phantom Blood is all I ever watched. While I know a lot of Part 2 to 6 from Cultural Osmosis and from a lot of memes, the actual stories themselves, there's, I'm going into them for the first time ever. So I'm really going to be interested to see, how Battle Tendency goes, how, just what the feel is like, and yeah, we're gonna try and do a lot of those recordings back to back, just so we can have a more consistent backlog to release to you guys monthly from here on out. Yeah, that'll be from April and onwards, where you guys should start getting some monthly uploads. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
With that being said, but next you'll say, how does Joseph Joestar compare to Jonathan? We'll find out next time.
No. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I am Filip, and she has been Zenith the Warrior Princess, and we will cut back to Rosen and the gang, and we will see you next time for part 2.
But next Rosen will say, insert clip of Rosen to make me right.
And we're back from that. Let's talk about our favorite and least favorite moment. I'll go first.
Yeah, I need to pull up my notes again.
my favorite moment, I had to tie between the beginnings of Muda and Jonathan living up to his credo as he died. My least favorite is Zepelli milking the shit out of his death.
I think that was also my least favorite moment, just like Zepelli's death. I was like, okay,
start looking at your watch.
So, like let's we gotta, like, this guy's still out there. Let's like, and you know, you've been in cleaved mode for about 20 minutes. Like, so I think my favorite moment was sort of, I think it was the final moment between Jonathan and Dio, because like I definitely felt like how, like, there was something about Dio that was like irrevocably shaken by that whole experience and by Jonathan's sheer will.
Yeah.
Like, it went from like, oh, I want you dead, you're nothing to me, to, oh shit, I respect you because you deleted my entire body below my neck, and then culminating in like, oh, I'm actually really sad to see you go.
Yeah.
I thought that was really compelling.
Oh yeah, and Dio only gets more complex the more he shows up.
Hell yeah.
I guess I'll go then. I guess my favorite moment from this part was that really short interaction between JoJo and Arena when they're on the boat. Like when he hits his head and when the two birds are on the railing. There is something just... It's like, even though we don't get to see a lot of their development of their relationship, there is something very lovely there. Like, we can really sense the tenderness that they have for each other in that moment. It really struck a chord with me.
Oh yeah,
and
that was
I guess my
highlight for me too.
I guess my least favorite moment were the fucking man cats.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Ariel?
That is a very fair one. And for me, I'm trying to think of what my favorite moment would be. I'm still trying to think.
That's fair.
But one of the worst moments, I can honestly say, although the man cat was a very high up there, it has to be one of the two moments where it actually is the flaying of the skin or the artery play.
Yeah, the carotid was pretty bad.
That artery play was just so god.
Don't call it that! Don't call it that! Oh god! I will say, like, JoJo increases the body horror as it goes on, but I don't think it gets any like more viscerally disgusting than that. At least my memory may be faulty, but that's pretty gross.
Yeah. Honestly, if I have to go for what I have to go for, yeah, it'll have to be the Joseph and Dio death.
Jonathan. Joseph is next time.
Jonathan, sorry. I don't know why I keep thinking that he's...
I don't know either!
I literally, every time I write my notes, I have to say JoJo because I don't know, I can't remember which one he is.
Fair. Well, it won't be a problem next time.
Watchers are confusing Joseph with Jonathan.
It might happen. I mean, it's gonna get bad when we get to Johnny.
Oh.
I love Johnny, but yeah, it's gonna get confusing. Let's go to the Bizarro meter. I'll go first. For Zepelli having multiple death fake outs despite being cut in half, Dyer's, well, everything about Dyer, and Araki having the guts to kill off the main character 9 episodes in, I'm giving this one a 7 out of 9 in terms of bizarreness.
I'll go next. Episode 7 alone brought this up to an 8 on the Bizarro scale for me. Between eating the baby, the fucking man cats, zombie lick-a-tongue, there was just so many moments in there where I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I think, like, I've sort of hit a stride where it's hard for me to judge how weird it is, because relative to itself, it's pretty consistent. So, like, if I'm comparing it to, like, I don't know, the catalog of HBO shows or something like that, I'd say it's like an 8 or a 9 or even beyond where the scale goes. But as far as, like, what I've seen so far, I'd give it like a 7, 6 maybe.
All right. Ariel?
For me, I'd say between the man-cat bits, the artery play bits.
Please stop calling it that!
I insist that you keep calling it artery play.
Damn it!
I second the motion.
Oh God!
It is passed.
Oh.
Artery play it is.
Please keep talking.
But those moments, along with just Doobie.
Oh, booby doo.
But Doobie the Snake Man just suddenly appearing and everything, and that was like that makes it to where it's at least a 7.5 for me.
Alright, well, that is going to do it for this episode. We'll be back next time, starting Part 2, Battle Tendency, with episodes 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Will there be any more artery play there, Rosen?
Thank God, no! At least that I remember. We'll see you next time. Alright.
Bye.
See ya.
Take care.